Interesting.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, the one thing that everybody wants to talk about, or us to talk about on the show, is revisiting the whole StarCraft is dying. All right, lots of drama. We don't have to rehash all of that. Everybody knows about it. But what do you guys think of the statement StarCraft is dying right now? Steven, your statement that StarCraft is dying, and it'll probably die going into Legacy of the Void and all this shit,
On all of that stuff,
Yeah.
this is that show was a really good example of, I think, people fighting for the sake of fighting. I'm pretty sure that we agreed on like 9 out of 10 of all of the same points there. There was just like one point that we disagreed on, and like that ended up being like the major fucking confrontational arguing point, which was kind of irrelevant, which I think was just like how much involvement do we need from Blizzard to turn things around. I think most people agree that there's been obviously a fall off in audience and whatnot, and that it would be nice if Blizzard could work to remedy that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that we conflicted on was like, because we agreed, I think, on everything for the most part. It was just that, and this wasn't even, if I remember correctly, it wasn't even mostly your doing, but the like using fear as a motivator, like telling people it will die, getting the crowd to like try to sign
Riled
petitions
up.
and shit like that, and saying
Oh,
stuff
sure.
like it won't make it to Legacy of the Void because it's going to die before that. That was
Sure.
the part that, but obviously, we handled it poorly with how we talked about it.
Well, I mean, okay, so StarCraft.
Actually, to give you an idea of how old that issue was, I made fun of you for the dick thing during that. So that was actually, we're talking like a year and a half ago was the dick
Yeah.
thing now.
That's true.
Shit. All right, that's good.
That's true.
A lot of distance between me and my dick there.
So, what do you think of the statement now, Steven? Just in general, I mean, is StarCraft dying? I mean, from the numbers that we saw just at the big events, seemed pretty similar to 2013 to me. We got 120, 140,000 at DreamHack and WCS. Seems the same. It's just there's a lot of bigger and things like happening around us.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
wanted
only
Blizzard to be. I wanted Blizzard to be Riot. I mean, I guess it won't happen, and it'll never happen like that. But I mean, I would have liked to have seen that. But I mean, we're kind of past it now. There's not really any point in complaining about it now. I mean, obviously
No.
the scene isn't dead completely. I mean, we've done a lot of cutting back and whatnot, and we've done a lot of trimming down. And it'll take. I mean, like the 1.6 scene is still kind of alive. So I mean, it's not like StarCraft is about to phase out of existence completely. But I mean, I'm never going to be happy. And I think most people agree that we're never going to be happy where we are now compared to our projections from late 2010, early 2011. But I mean, you wouldn't necessarily say we're dead either, if that makes sense.
We're not even close to dead, right? I mean,
Yeah, I would.
It's
I would
what
say
is-
we're so far away from the language of it being dead.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. I guess, yeah.
If we didn't have if we were looking at the next year and Blizzard was like, all right, we tried WCS, it didn't work, we're closing up shop, and then like ESL was like, yeah, StarCraft's not very profitable for us, so we're gonna switch to tanks, and then NASL was like, hey, we are tanks, we don't give a shit about StarCraft, we're gonna, but we'll put on one tournament, we promise, and it's gonna be in a bar. I would be like, okay, we're pretty dead, but it's actually in this next year they're talking about cutting back on tournaments because it was too much, and opening up space for other tournaments. And when I look at there's no WCS, I see similar stream numbers. Like I said, it's less for sure. I don't think anyone would argue we're bigger than we were in 2010. That would be the stupidest argument they could possibly make. But
of course.
I don't think it would be fair to say that we're like, well, we're not dead, but there's a 1.6 scene, so we're not dead. Like, come on. We're doing a lot better than 1.6. Like,
yeah, we definitely are. It just the thing that always bothered me was that it hurt to see League and Dota start off on a lower rung than StarCraft and like grow exponentially while StarCraft was kind of around the same level. And I really do think that, or actually, let me rephrase it. I know for a fact that late 2010, early 2011, everybody in the scene saw us going towards where, like, in late 2010, everybody saw StarCraft being what League is today, where we're the ones filling the Staples Centers, we're the ones with salaried teams from Blizzard and all of that shit. Like, I think everybody saw it headed that direction. So it's
Very
a little
fair to
disappointing not to see it there. And it's a little disappointing to me to see all the things that Blizzard still hasn't done that could be done to remedy the client and fix team games or make the arcade, not a ghost yard or... So I mean, those are but like I said, like you can only complain for so long. Like there's no point in complaining about it now. We still have a core audience that isn't gonna just disappear or whatever. So and yeah, and using the phrase dead or not dead is pretty silly because dead obviously implies that we'd be doing way worse than we are now. So
in your defense too, though, one of the things that you did call for and were arguing was very integral to the game's success back when you did make that post was talking about having more options for the casual gamer, and
Yeah.
I would say that part of why Blizzard is doing, again, we can't really say better in the scope of in relation to 2010, but certainly better than at least at the beginning of 2013, end of 2012, what we were looking at with Wings of Liberty. I feel like we can say that the casual player has more options. The arcade seems more robust. They're coming out with more ideas. Like if you don't own StarCraft 2 HOTS, you can actually play all three races through Spawn.
The
So it's
spawning
like
stuff
more,
is pretty cool.
yeah. They're making more options along those lines, which I think is a nice, promising thing to look at. I agree with you. We're always going to have stuff to complain about, and I also agree that if we like at the tail end of 2010-11, like I was ready to build a gold statue in my own honor and talk about how I was going to be like king of Zanzibar or some shit like that. Like everything was
Yes.
going amazing. Nobody could have proclaimed what MOBAs were going to do to the scene and how just absolutely built for consumption that they were. But that being said, if we soak up reality right now and say StarCraft is right now the third most played game and watched game, and we're okay with that. If you're okay with that, then our scene's pretty awesome. If you think that mistakes led us to being number 3 and we should be number 1 and we are the better game, then you're going to be really upset because LoL and Dota are clearly the more watched and played and better games
Sure.
in that sense.
And the only thing, and like I said, and actually that's a really good point because your mentality is really important there. And I actually fall more into the latter crowd there. For me personally, I would rather finish, like if I was running a race or I was in some competition with 64 people, I would rather finish in the bottom 32 than finish like third.
Really?
If that makes sense. Because finishing it, well, to even rephrase that more, I would rather finish in the bottom 32 because I suck and I didn't try very much, rather than give it like a half-hearted attempt and finish third, because first is like so close in reach, and when you're in like that top 4 spot, like it's really easy to look at like all the things that you didn't do, and it's like, oh, like I should be on that level. Like I feel like it hurts more to get closer to like your full potential and not hit it than it does to just kind of never do anything in the first place. If that makes any sense. That's another reason why the only reason why I get so upset when I look at where StarCraft is now, and I say upset, it's not like I'm crying every night about this, but it's because I legitimately do believe that with the proper support and with the proper direction from Blizzard in 2010, I really do think that StarCraft 2 could be as big as League and Dota is now. I don't see why there's any good reason why it couldn't be. Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. I don't think there's any good reason why, if Blizzard would have given us the proper support, would have made the client, we had to beg for chat channels. I think a lot of people forget even that. If that functionality would have all been in there at the start, I don't think there's any reason why StarCraft shouldn't be as popular, if not more so, than any of the MOBAs right now. That's what bothers me. Obviously, being the third most played game is something to, like, if you were going to a random person, a random person wouldn't give a fuck, but a random person that did give a fuck, and say that, like, that's still really impressive. But it's the idea that we could have been up there on top with the proper support from the start. That's kind of what always bothers me,
Jeff, you think we could be getting the numbers that League and Riot are getting right now?
I feel like StarCraft 2 came up in a world where there was no other games with that kind of broadcast power behind it or interest at all. So it kind of uniquely grew it, or I guess it kind of uniquely came up on its own, and it built this expectation around it. But because of how alienating StarCraft is and how, like, if I tune into there's going to be good arguments either side, but my argument would always be that StarCraft 2, every time its game gets released, it'll always go boom, and people all buy it. They'll spend time with it. They'll get tired of how hard it is and how taxing it is and how much time they have to put into it just to not get their asses kicked. But even with that time getting put into it, they're still, by the system of ladder or by the system of just the way the game works, they're always going to get their asses kicked. So the scene will always shrink down. Whereas MOBA, and again, this is where I can already hear myself arguing against myself, because I know there's good arguments against what I'm about to say, but I feel like it's the same or similar, but less, and less enough that there's this artificial bright line that I'll cite without having to name any specifics, because they don't exist, because I'm a cheap ass that way, I guess. In that people can tune in, play, and get enough out of it cheaply and easily enough that they're okay with watching and playing on a large scale. And I feel like just the styles and games are that way.
Definitely. And the social aspect of being able to just boot up and play one game and just kind of have fun with it and then walk away from it is something that you can't do with StarCraft, I don't think anybody would ever be like, I'm just gonna play
I don't
one
think
game
we
of
could,
StarCraft today, you know.
even with the
but
best
like,
things in StarCraft.
and again, that goes back to kind of the Blizzard stuff, where like I wish like those would have been the strongest remedies, you know, whether it was supporting the team game scene more. I'm pretty sure that we've had like 5 2v2 maps like since StarCraft launched, you know, supporting the team game scene more, supporting the arcade more, just to get those more casual, you know, the more people that you've got who log into the client every day to play games like that, or to, you know, for the chat rooms or for that kind of social experience. And by social experience, I don't mean link with your Facebook, but like actually have things in the StarCraft client worth logging in for. I feel like those are the things, because I do agree with you that the game itself, and that was my big drive too when I talked about appealing to casual people. The game itself isn't something that would keep people coming back over and over again, you know? That would be the equivalent of League of Legends only having ranked queues and no other kinds of queues, you know? The audience would be a tenth the size it is today if they had only ranked queues and nothing else, you know?
I mean, the arcade's there.
They're late to that punch. Yeah, they're like the stuff that's coming out now, it's good. I think if this would have came out a year and a half ago,
or even launched,
if 50 more hairs on his head, he'd smile a lot more. And
if the game would have launched in the condition that it's in now, I think that our scene would be in a lot better shape. I think a lot more casual people would have stuck around for a lot longer, in my opinion.
True, I agree.
So
Because they'd have like a casual community to be attached to committed to, you know.
Well, I guess the question is, I mean, the arcade's there. They're doing a lot of great things. Arcade's there. You guys know I've been a proponent of the arcade for like a year and a half now. And there are a lot.
Wednesday night strikes, bitches.
Dude, when are you guys coming on, man? When are you guys coming on?
I don't play UMS games.
See, see.
I still, if I could do one fucking thing, if I could do one thing right now, if I could go to the Blizzard HQ, capture the CEO, tie him up for a little bit, and then like force him to do one thing, I would want to see them.
He fucking loves StarCraft.
I would want to see them fucking make the game free and implement like a skin system and then shave money from people that way. The ability to skin your units or pay for like a custom voiceover or some shit so they can collect money that way and then make the game free. I wonder what that would do for the game if you opened up access to download it for the entire world and made it free.
But is there enough, is there enough new people to get at this point, that haven't already
I mean, if you make it free, it's bound to get a lot of, anybody can download it if it's free, right? That's the nice thing about Dota.
But you have to have a game. You have to have a game that's appealing, and I actually think the arcade might have a better chance of that at this point.
The arcade is free, is it not?
It is free, but I'm saying like it's actual new content that people don't
even
know anything
is
about.
Free? Like you don't
it's
need
free to
a
play.
copy of the game to play it?
No, you can download the client and play in the arcade now. Anything in the arcade. Yeah. They made it free. They announced it at BlizzCon.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Very recently. Yeah, I've actually, I've gotten in trouble for this in the past, but I think I'm saying only good things, so hopefully Kim and Mike won't kill me. Kim fan, Mike Morheim, I've actually spoken about these very things to them. They're hyper aware of it, and they gave me like a loose, like obviously not signed in blood, but I can tell you that that's what they want to do, and they're going to try to do is head in that direction where the arcade's free. I told them that school thing they did where like for 2 weeks or whatever there was 3 new what are they called, avatars, but then also the game was like at 50%, or no, it was like free to download for 2 weeks or whatever. You could play all 3 races. I was like, dude,
okay.
So many more of those things. And I think the game's already dropped in price. Like you can buy it for $20 now. So I don't disagree with you. Like obviously, free is this gigantic fucking white elephant that comes with this whole new set of rules and languages and possibilities. But I feel like as long as they continue to do what they do, which is a lot of what you're saying, which is really make it a gorgeous package for some casual person to pick up, and then that casual person becomes more dedicated, becomes more interested in the eSports scene and the competitive and the ladder and the ranked and so on and so forth. Like go at it from that approach. I think that's really smart.
I'm just saying,
and I wish they would have
the
done
whole
that
reason, the real reason why I made that whole post and I complained about everything and I want microtransactions in the game is because I really just want an Abathur voiceover pack for my Zerg race. When I need more minerals and I'm under attack, fucking get a Kickstarter going. We'll get that Steve Blum guy. We'll lock him in a fucking studio and get him to record the voiceover. I would pay so much money for that voice pack, man.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see him. Was he at BlizzCon?
Or to have all of my queens be like fat Kerrigans. Like huge, pregnant, fat fucking Kerrigans.
What?
I don't know, that'd be funny as fuck. God damn.
God.
Okay, never mind.
Anyway,
that
I would
pay
be interesting.
So much money for that shit.
It's funny though, like that's what Dota 2 has done, right? You can actually download, like there's people making voice packs right now
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
Celebrities.
Talk
Yeah.
about it. Like those are cool ideas, and people would go bananas over that. I told them, and it's not like this is my idea, but like, come out with a different avatar once a fucking week, sell it for $1, and go ahead and laugh
Yeah.
yourself to the
Yeah.
bank as you make $120,000 or whatever it is. You know, like
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm so tired of because the excuse for all of the reason why these things never happen, the same excuse is that we don't have the funds to allocate an engineer or whatever to work on the project because they're all working on, whether it's a new IP, the Heroes of the Storm or fucking Diablo 3 or whatever. Well, if they just had some money flowing through there, maybe they would see it as financially worthwhile to actually dedicate a little bit of time to doing some of the things, That's why I want that
Well,
fucking
they've made some
microtransaction.
amazing tools, and
Yeah, they have, but I
I've
want
talked a
Blizzard
lot.
to make money for it. If Blizzard
Well,
is
I
making
know.
money
What
on
I'm-
it, then it becomes their then they'll
Well, no.
actually want. I want Blizzard to want to come and give us more features because they're making money off it, and the money's there to be made. It's just laying on the table. They just don't want it. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, well, that's
But
what
maybe they
what I was trying to get at is that they've made these amazing tools that guys like Ryan, the GameHeart guy, has utilized, made some crazy this
Yeah,
crazy
those over there
UI
are
system, and I mean these tools I feel like are really close to allowing us to make our own things, and it's just a
Sure.
matter of creating a marketplace or just a place that we could sell them.
By the way,
there's just not that sort of thing in Battle.net.
it's only a matter of time. But I want credit for this
All right.
proclamation.
All right.
With how amazing their like arcade/UMS system is, and with it being essentially open code in the sense that like anyone can download it and play with it, eventually, you LOL and Dota people, listen carefully. Eventually, the game that's going to kill your games is going to be born in the cesspool of the arcade that is StarCraft 2. Like,
Star Strikers.
it's not Star Strikers, but it's
Come
going to
on.
be some other game that at this point in time we can't predict, but it'll come out of there. And it's going to take the world by storm. And guess what? Blizzard this time around is going to be wise enough to be like, patent! Watch that! All right, it's ours. We caught it.
Well, part of the just like the real constricting, aspect of them not letting it grow so much has been because of that fear, I think. So I think they're starting to get over that Dota, that Dota hangover.
Maybe in
basically.
reality,
Jeez.
this has all just been one big fucking beta test for the real monster that's coming, and that's Warcraft 4.
Shit.
Warcraft 4 will be the
Warcraft 4.
RTS to end all
Oh
RTSs.
god. All right.
Maybe that's what we're waiting for.
Okay, you guys want to do some Q&A? Some questions? Yeah. They got a lot of questions in the Reddit thread. Some good ones too. First off, Jeff, someone wants to know any details on State of the Game Christmas?
Details?
Yeah.
It's this Sunday.
Sunday? All right.
I'm not sure what time it's at, but it'll be a lot of fun. It's Day 9, myself, Tyler, JP, and then DJ Wheat.
All right.
And I will be drinking my traditional box of red wine, and everyone else will be drinking whatever they will be drinking, and then we just kind of recap the year and get sloshy drunk and hopefully not call a porn star.
Is it live again? Is it going to be all in
live.
studio? Okay.
Oh no! No,
all in
that's
studio.
not-
I mean, live in studio type of thing.
No, it'll be same as everything.
Classic. Okay.
Skype
Cool.
call, that fun.
All right. Very well. Okay. Let's see. Next up. Let's see. There was a good one. Shit, I just missed it for Destiny. All right. I'll ask this one.
People are saying box wine.
What?
They're like, no, don't drink the box wine. Yeah, that's part of the fun of it. We'll see.
Okay, Weozan, he's got a bunch of questions, but one for you, Jeff. He asks, have you ever considered leaving EG and building your own brand separately? And Steven and I we talked a little bit about this last episode or the last week, and we talked a little bit about what if you left EG and we're doing your own thing, and how successful would that be? So I'm kind of curious what your personal thoughts are on it, because I know you're really tied to just the brand and I mean the team. It's kind of part of your just lifeblood in some ways. I mean, at least
absolutely.
from our standpoint. So what do you think?
That question hits pretty close to home, actually. Over the last couple weeks, I've been doing contract negotiations with EG,
Okay.
throughout that, the big theme is EG the right fit for me? Not because we're at a crossroads or in dispute or anything like that, but because I have very specific interests in the sense that, like, obviously next year it's not like, okay, this is the year I come back and win tournaments. No, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about how can I be beneficial to those that employ me, but also grow my own brand, which that's so important. Like when you stop being a player, you have to become an individual. You have to become an identity because that's how you make your money, right? Like people need to get excited about having Destiny at their tournament or in control at their tournament or something like that as a host commentator or even a player, but they can't be excited about like they can't be excited about that for those reasons of like, well, he's a fantastic player, so that's what he brings to the table. So it's all about your exposure. It's about what you do that then creates your own value. So we've been talking very closely about that, and a lot of the talks. Harrison, for fuck's sake, stop licking. Sometimes bulldogs have this thing where they think there's a fly and they just go blah 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 blah, and it won't stop until I tell them to. So sorry. But anyways, like for me, the big thing is like I've been around since the very beginning with EGs, so I feel a sense of I'm tied to them in a very big way. So as long as I'm able to, and I'm free to expand in this next year is really important to do that. Start covering other games, start showing that I've got more to offer, start hosting and casting more, but also doing different things, just really, doing different roles, then I'm happy. So the conversation came up. I won't tell you where it landed just yet. This is my classic announcement. But really what it is actually I'm not allowed to say. But that'll be answered fairly soon. You guys will have an announcement.
So in terms of casting other games, what other games are you playing right now? Because I don't think I've ever seen you play a different game on.
I don't stream other games. Like I streamed for the first time XCOM, and it was really fun. But I found it really hard to talk about another game and play at the same time because my brain's working even harder. But I actually play a lot of other games. Ironically, the games that I should be playing, Dota and LoL, I haven't played. I've played one game of LoL and 0 games of Dota. So that'll probably change. I'll probably start playing more of that so that I can talk about it. I watch a lot of Dota.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching it. It helps that the Alliance is one of the best teams, so it's like it's kind of like I like baseball, but with how bad the Mariners suck, I watch 0 baseball. And with EG Dota sucking so hard right now, I can't really watch them, so I watch. And our LoL team wasn't great either, so I watch Alliance. But when they were winning, I actually watched some LoL, so I'll get kind of more into that. But as far as what games I play all the big ones. I have both the consoles. I'm not really a PC gamer except for StarCraft. Like I don't really play PC games because if I'm at the PC, I just play StarCraft. So it's kind of by design.
Yeah.
But in this next year, we're talking about doing things like when a game comes out, doing a launch stream where I talk about it and play it and have fun and have some drinks.
Okay. Cool.
Covering things like PlanetSide and getting more involved with that. And then hopefully some Dota stuff as well. Maybe LoL.
All right, sounds good. All right, Paperline has, on the topic of donations, what do you guys think about...
Wait, can I talk to you a little bit of that?
Yeah, go for it.
It's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, go for it.
And none of this is advice. Obviously, you'll do your own thing, whatever. But this is something that you always wrestle with when you get to a certain point as being a content producer. It's always weird that question of, do I do things for myself, or do I do things for another company and have them pay me? Or, like, do I grow my own brand? Or, like, if I do this, am I growing my own brand? Or am I just growing my own brand in association with the company that's hiring me or whatever? I always thought that was, like, a really interesting question. And it's something that, obviously, in the past, I've always wrestled with that. Like, do I want to join a team because I really like being able to call everything that I do, like, Destiny, and, like, that's it. Like, that's my shit. And anytime I want to do something, I can do it as my own with no strings attached, with no blah, 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 blah. And then it always comes down to, like, is it worth the funding that you would get from another organization to represent them instead? I've always thought that was an interesting thing. My favorite thing, and I wouldn't say that I'm quite there yet, my favorite thing, though, is that once you reach a certain point, it makes sense to say no to everything else. Like, for instance, like, I've had a couple different people who would approach me and they would be like, hey, like, do you want to write articles for our website? Like, if you wanted to write articles for our website, like, we'll pay you X $100 or whatever, per article, and then we'll post on our website, and that would be great, and then we could even link back to your site. And it's really easy in some positions to look at that and be like, well, yeah, sure, like, that's cool. But then when you get to a certain point, like, where I'm at now, like, I could say, like, if I wanted to write an article, I can just post it on my website, and I can monetize that with Google AdSense or with my Amazon affiliate links, and, like, I can do that shit on my own. Like, I don't technically need you for it. Or, like, when it comes to YouTube promotion, admittedly, I've been lazy on the YouTube channel, or anything like that, I think it's really cool when you hit the point where you're like, it's really cool that you offer these vehicles to promote me, but I have those vehicles built up on my own now, and I have my branding on my own now, and I don't actually need your support to do it. The extra money would be nice, but I can make all of that money back because I have the ad network and I've got the vehicles to do that. I always thought that I always think that's interesting because the one thing that would scare me, and I say scare me, everything is relative, of course. And then, like I said, every person is their own individual. But I would always be worried of growing really huge under the thumb of someone else because I would never want to be in a position where someone else can damage my IP, if that makes sense, And that's one thing where we've talked about you in the past because you're in a really unique position in that EG used to be like the biggest name in all of StarCraft 2. But it's almost gotten to the point to where, like, when you saw Quantic Destiny, without trying to sound like an asshole, like it was Destiny is like bringing Quantic's name up, like wow, Destiny got picked up by Quantic, like that's gonna be great exposure for Quantic, and ironically now it's almost gotten to the point to where like EG.iNControL, like InControl is out there, carrying EG with him. Because if InControL left EG now, EG has Jadong, but who else? Like, are they going to hire Orb again to do casting, or?
Yeah, no, probably not.
So like it's always really interesting. And then I don't know what your contract specifics are, but I would always be worried in that situation where like, if I left, like, do I really need this vehicle anymore to carry me to events, to pay for things, or would I be better off just negotiating on all that under my own branding because I'm so big now that I don't necessarily need that extra vehicle, That's always just interesting. Something I'm always thinking about and whatnot, and then looking.
No,
at
you brought up a lot of
people.
good points, and I this is part of the reason why I always love when we're on shows together because you geek out about cool conversations like this, like I do. Like the thing is about what you brought up. You can word it different ways, but there's pros and cons to both sides, and it kind of just falls on like you have to weigh it. So I like this because you bring up really good points. Like if you're by yourself, you're 100% profit. You're making all the choices. You're not tied down. Like these are all really good points you brought up. Even the stuff like making a big name for yourself independent of a big company means that it's just your brand that you're now emboldening as opposed to perhaps some kind of weird portion of that is going to the company that you're related to or something like that. Sure. And then, of course, you bring up the issue, too, where you talk about how at some point perhaps your brand becomes, at least in certain areas, a little bit larger than the one that you're working for. For me, what's really important is that I'm not ready to just do all the logistics just yet. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm in a place where, Anna's working too, but I feel like I should be the breadwinner. I need to bring in money. We got, as independent contractors, it means that you're paying ridiculous taxes and you're paying bills for yourself in expensive San Francisco. So what EG brought to the table for me that was really important to consider was that Alex and EG will handle everything in terms of travel, logistics. Like they'll bring gigs to me as opposed to me needing to look out for them and hunt them down, which is really important. The con of that, of course, is that when you work for EG, a lot of gigs aren't available to you. If I make a stupid joke on stream, that could cause me all kinds of heartache. If I was by myself and I'm like a Howard Stern personality, it's not a big deal because it's like, fuck it, then you don't hire me, I guess, but joke's on you because I've got more jobs than I need.
Yep. That was another, on that quick point, that was another thing that we've always said too. It would really be interesting because the only thing that we've ever seen, in a public-facing manner is EG.iNControL. And a lot of people wondered, like, what would an event be like where InControL is casting, not on Team EG, with, like, two good co-casting? Like, where would that go?
Yeah.
And it's impossible to say where that would go while you're on EG because, and I'm not and I'm sorry, real fast, just to clear for chat. I'm not bashing EG here, although I love to shit on Alex as much as I can. I'm not bashing them in this case because you do have to hold, your sponsors do have to hold people on the team to certain standards because you don't want to associate a big brand like Monster or HyperX, Kingston, all that shit. You don't want to associate them with like raunchy humor and whatnot. I understand that completely. But the implications for not being associated with that are equally fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those things you described, Jeff, with the logistics and things, I mean, those are things that you can achieve with an agency, right? A management agency and that sort of thing.
Which doesn't exist yet for esports, though.
Well,
no, so it doesn't exist yet.
Don't be honest too, like those. That's the back and forth. That's the pro and con, and doing it on your own has all the pros, like Steven was listing, and the cons are things like being held back a little bit on some things. Like having to moderate yourself because you are working for a corporation as opposed to just your own entity. So those would be the cons. EG is what I think what makes it so successful, and they deserve a lot of credit for this because you have to in esports. They're actually a very fluid and they're an evolving company. It is properly conveyed in the sense that we make mistakes and then learn from them, but that's like the negative connotation. The positive connotation is that EG very often is like looking out for what would be the better decision and then changing to that decision. So in the past, if it was like if this was 2 years ago and EG was rigid, I would have probably that would have been my last year with EG this past year, and I'd be moving on for sure, and I'd be doing it on my own because that would be the next step for me. Going to another team probably is not an option. They're not going to sign me for a player, and very few teams can employ someone that's mostly a caster and a personality and a host that then also offers other things like a decent stream and coaching or something like that. EG is pretty much, as far as teams go, that's my only option. But what I really like about EG is that they do an awesome job of like Alex really evaluates how he can put his best players in the best places, and he's changing his company around it to make it so that they can do that. So again, I can't answer what's happening this next year, but what I can tell you is that I'm very close to what Steven was describing, because it does hit a certain point where it's like, okay, I'm making X amount of dollars, but a team isn't going to pay you much more for that role because that's not beneficial to the team so much, right? Yep. To that value. So it's getting pretty close to the point where it's going to come down to if I go out on my own, it's not because I don't like the team or they can't do things for me. It's because I've outgrown my position there.
Yep.
Yeah. That's exactly
and again,
what
at the end of the day, too, I can also understand the attractiveness of, after doing 50 million fucking emails and talking to, a website developer guy and, all these random things and stuff. Like, I can understand the appeal of saying fuck all of that and just collecting a slightly smaller paycheck and having someone else manage it for me, too. There are definitely pros to both
But
sides.
again, you can have a management agency do that and still be on your own. You know what I mean?
There is no good management agency.
Instead of having, being part of a team. So there's
Tom is trying.
Yeah.
He's doing it.
That's cool.
He's done right by Artosis and Tasteless, at least. It'd be hard to say otherwise to them.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Paperline asks, on the topic of donations, what do you guys think about the soda poppin' situation, which is, here, let me link it for you. He basically received a $40,000 donation from one person.
Man, fuck these fucking World of Warcraft.
Oh, it's soda poppin', right?
That guy? Soda poppin'.
It's those Saudi prince dudes.
What
every time
the
they sell
hell?
a new chick, every time they sell a virginity of some new chick, they flip a coin, and if it says they donate it to some
Did you just send me the link to him getting that? Is that what happens in that link?
Somebody linked it in the Reddit. I think it's actually a stream that maybe it's the VOD that shows him getting it, but the title of it shows basically 40,000 blah blah blah. So, anyways, it definitely did happen. That's pretty crazy.
Holy shit!
That's fucking crazy.
$40,000 donation.
Yeah.
So people didn't know there are these two Saudi princes or something that watch World of Warcraft streams, and I think collectively, they've donated over $100,000 across a few different World of Warcraft streams. He's linked his shit. Apparently, he has fucking.
How do you get that lucky, man?
They've got $1 million in some PayPal account where they just dump money into these World of Warcraft streamers.
I know Isaac. He got a $10,000 one or something like that. The guy that lived with us.
Yeah.
Casted us.
Azale, yeah. I think Wreckful's gotten it before, and
people are saying Soda's gotten about 70,000 total.
That's just
70 total in donations.
Okay,
from
this
that one guy.
If this guy gives it to you, do you guys accept it?
What the?
Yeah,
of course.
You have to ask. What do you mean?
Of course. Okay. I have a story that's similar to that.
Okay.
By similar, I mean, I guess you downgrade it by a lot, but people forget this, but I think it was 2010, 2011, I was working at GameStop, my paycheck was $200, something like that.
All right.
I was coaching StarCraft. It was a couple years into coaching. That was going pretty well. But still, I was a poor college student or whatever. And, not a college student, I guess. Anyways, I was poor. This guy reaches out to me and he's like, "Hey, I want you to come coach me in Dubai." And I'm like, "Okay, I think you're gonna try to rape and kill me."
Yeah, I remember this shit.
Greg, tell me this story.
Yeah, I remember this shit.
Dude, it's so sick. And so at first I'm like, my friend Rhett lives really close to you. That would be I tried to sell Rhett's body to this guy at first, but he's like, "No, I want you to coach me." And he's like, "Here, give me your number. I'll call you." And it was it was kind of weird. I'm like, "Okay." So here's my number. This is how hard copy was going to cover my life story about how I disappeared. You've seen me or anything like that.
Okay.
Calls up and he's like, yeah. He's like, it's fine. We've got a nice place. I want you to come. I want you to relax. He just starts talking. He just keeps saying this. He's like, I just want you to play. It's fine. Don't worry about it. He's like, okay. I'm like, well, all right. I mean, I guess I have to ask you the question. I'm sorry, but how much are you interested in paying me? Because And I started to explain, like, when you leave your house, it's got to have displacement cost, and like, there's value to that. And he's like,
Right.
Jeff, he's like, don't be an asshole. Like, I don't know, like $10,000, I don't give a shit. Like, don't worry about it. And then he hangs up. And I looked over at Anna, who was with her friend, and I was like, this guy wants to pay me to coach him $10,000. And she's like, well, you're going, right? You're going, right? I was like, yeah, I kind of have to. And I was
It's
like,
a good woman right there.
so I flew first class over to Dubai, get picked up by a limo, and then I just go to this guy's mansion, and I'm like losing my brain, because in my head I'm like, I have to coach this guy at $10,000 value, like, and that's if he pays me, because he didn't pay it beforehand because I was an idiot at the time. And he's just like, Jeff, relax, quit being an asshole. Here, have some drinks. Like, all I want you to do is just play with my friends, and if they get a little bit better, that's fine. That's all I want. So for like 5 days, we just played StarCraft and hung out, and he gave me like another $5,000 to spend around the city. So I went.
Wow.
I spent like 400 of that, and then the rest I hoarded because it was more money than I've ever seen in my life. And I went home with these $100 bills in an envelope, and I kept them in my hands for the entire 12-hour trip, in my pockets, because I wouldn't let them. Like, it's weird to say, like, guys, 4 years ago, like, I couldn't afford Christmas presents for people, and it's a big stressor. But here I had $10,000+ in my hand, and it changed my life. The guy changed my life. Ever since then, I saved up. I was able to, get an apartment. I was able to afford things, and then with that money, I was comfortable and happy enough to start getting into, doing other things that made money. So,
I didn't know
that's
that.
my
That's
Dubai story. And
amazing.
as it turns out, by the way, that guy was the Prince of Dubai. He wouldn't tell me at the time. The guy that I talked to was his handler, who's like, his job was to keep him entertained. I guess he'd probably get mad at me if I gave him that summary, because it's like, no, I'm CEO of the fun company, like, okay, something.
Company. Right.
But he was the Prince of Dubai, and he had kangaroos in his yard, and I asked him why, and he said because I wanted kangaroos. So he has kangaroos.
That's nice.
You should have. The chat's right. You should have dumped that money to Bitcoin. Way to go.
All right. Somebody has. Speaking of Bitcoin, somebody has a question. When are we going to have a best-of-5 show match between Destiny and InControl, and how much Bitcoins would it take to make it happen?
I don't know. I have no interest in playing show matches for Bitcoins. Actually, but I mean, if people want to, fuck it. I mean, sure. I'll do any show match for anybody for 10 Bitcoins.
You guys get money together. Steve and I will play. I promise, and we'll take it as serious as you want, or as drunk as you want, or whatever.
Didn't you guys just play recently on Ladder, man?
I don't remember that game. It started off with cannons out of nowhere, and then everything just fades to black, I think.
Started with cannons at your third, because you didn't scout at all, man.
I had the watchtower. It was like fucking 1 inch. It was like 1 matrix square. Like, I could see the breath that was coming out of the probe in the fog of war. Like, it was that close.
I'm the guy. I feel like I should be on the short list of like 5 people that you always like triple Overlord scout every hatch you ever make, because
I haven't downgraded you yet to Combat X or Wiedemann's level.
I'm not Combat X.
Wiedemann's level. Oh my god.
When that happened though, all I could see was that look of terror in Sleep's face. In that one tournament.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about. Oh shit.
He goes on to like he was like in the top 30 of WCS or some shit like that too. Yeah. Which by power of displacement means that I'm even better than him, because I beat him one time. Anyways, transitive property. Thank you.
By 5 degrees of separation, every NA player is the best player in the world, right? If you follow the link lines.
If you work hard enough, you can get there. But no,
degrees of destiny.
One of these things, and I was streaming when I played Destiny. I was like, oh, okay, I got Destiny, and I was like, guys. I love Steven. We have great conversations. We actually usually have good games. I feel like we both play out of our skins against each other or whatever. But it's so funny, and I feel like I can tell you this, and I feel like you'll know what I'm talking about and sympathize, hopefully. But I feel like you're this guy, this like really popular guy, and you move around. But there's this like vagabond group of gypsies behind you, like this army of gypsies, and a lot of them are really well-intentioned, good people. But then there's some deep hill people in there. There's some deep hill people gypsies that like they just attack whatever you touch. So like I play this.
I'm not seeing that. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I think everybody that follows me is pretty well mannered.
Dude, they're great, man.
Like I can't believe you fucking I can't believe it. You son of a... Go back to...
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
murder...
Usually when I play somebody and they can't even cheese me, I turn on the stream and all of my people are going like, wow, good job. It was really innovative, that strategy against Destiny. Like, he'll definitely prepare for that in the future. And Destiny's taking the loss really well at his stream, passing that strategy. Usually that's what goes on. But I think I have heard of what you're talking about happen every now and then. I've heard of it happening every now and then.
Even on the show, like, I'm sitting... I don't usually do this because it can distract me from conversation, but I'm leaving the chat open because I actually know this going into it, so I'm immune. So it's just funny to me. It's like they're waiting for us to fight. Obviously, we're not going to do that. But every time
that's what always happens here.
Anything like, look at that fat British mouth. And they're just like so angry. And the threads too on Reddit when they're like, that question you asked, you had to ask it about the thread, the fight we had or whatever it was, and inside the game. Like,
yep.
People wanted to see. They still hate me to this day for what I said to you.
High fives, man. High fives is a killer. Is what it was.
Okay, let's speak to that one. For God's sakes, Steven, can you save me from this?
I actually can't save you from that. That hurt my feelings.
You didn't even know it happened, Steven. I didn't even know it happened.
That's why I got mad and left. Fuck that shit.
Oh my god.
I felt like I was being mooned. I felt like my honor had been tarnished. Chanman, you as a fellow Asian should understand better than anyone what it's like to have your honor tarnished on a public show like that. I had to commit Sudoku and exit the scene with my entrails left all over whatever it was that I Sudoku'd on.
Please.
It was the only option at that point.
Sometimes I don't get the internet, and that was one of the biggest ones ever. Because here's the thing. Here's what happened. Greg drops that burner on you, and then I'm reading the chat. Someone says someone should high-five Greg for that. And for whatever fucking reason, thank God he said that instead of saying someone should jump off a bridge or something. I got up, and I'm going to be honest with you, Steven, I've given 3 high-fives in my life that didn't involve a football game. That was one of them, I guess. It was like the dumbest. Greg's even awkward about it. Like, he's like, and I'm like, hey... I hate myself for it, but I don't hate it because I potentially hurt your feelings. I just hate it because it was a clumsy, dumb thing to do. It just looked retarded. But
it was one of those things.
It
was just one of those things where I said, like, that event, like, everything in that event was so heated. It was so dumb because, like I said, like, literally everyone on that show, like, if you could list, like, 15 different points that we were all talking about, we all agreed with, like, 13 of them. And there were, like, 1 or 2 different things that we disagreed with. But, like, any one thing could have happened that would set everything off to be, like, somebody could have made a dumb joke or whatever. Because, like I said, like, you guys had already talked about it before going on, so I was already heated going on. And then I'm pretty sure since you guys have been talking about it, you guys were all heated going on. So it was just like this nuclear bomb just waiting to blow up. And the moment of fission occurred when that high five happened. It was like, fuck it. Go big or go home. And I did both.
I like that. So, like I said, I later did apologize, and we've gotten past it, and you know, I don't fight like that anymore. And actually, more importantly than even that, I feel like I conduct myself better than I did that time. Anyways, like, you can have strong emotions, but I was like a Rush Limbaugh on every kind of Vicodin there is, just going crazy. So whatever. But my point is, like, I got the most hilarious, serious
death threats.
Like, anger, and literally what they would cite is the high five. Like, not the rants that I did yelling into my webcam about, you know, how you can't have a serious opinion because your dick's on the internet. Like really mean, bad stuff. It was the high five that broke the barrier for a lot of people. And I'm like...
Nuclear high five.
How do you take that person serious where they're like, listen, you called them names, you're really mean in front of like 7,000 people, but when you high-five Greg in front of him, and I'm like, there's nothing you can say after this that doesn't make you a crazy person. Like, it was so funny.
Yeah. All right, we done with this now, guys. The viewers, we done with this for now.
Just do what you can, Steven, to save me from the high-five police out there. Like, I swear I'll never high-five another person in my life.
It was really funny because did you watch me play at the Lone Star Clash event?
Crash, come on, man.
Lone Star Clash event. Nice. I had to play a game against Grubby, I had a set against Grubby, and in the second game, because of the kind of map, it was some map where you might be able to Baneling bust on if the Protest builds a certain way. And I tried for the Baneling bust, and there was a point where I might have been able to win it. I couldn't tell because I was down the ramp, but if I would have just ran my Banelings in, I could have won it. And I didn't realize it at the time. And after that game, for whatever fucking reason, because me and Kevin had been fucking around a little bit prior to that, he fucking calls me up on stage. So I'm on stage. The game's finished, and
Oh,
Rotterdam.
this-
In Rotterdam, yeah, Rotterdam's like, hold on, I want to talk to Steven for a second. So I'm just standing there, and I'm like, yeah, what's up, Roddy? And he's like, let's look at this replay. So he rewinds the replay to the exact moment
yeah.
where my bandlings are down ramp, and I'm waiting for like 2 more warp in. And he's like, so Steven, you see you could have won, like right here. Why didn't you run up the ramp and attack? And I was like, fucking, like, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that. I thought that he had like another pylon warping or something like that. And he gave me a little bit of shit for it or whatever. And, you know, like, we were fucking with each other, and I didn't care. I wasn't about to cry or anything. Like, we were having fun. But I remember that after that encounter, I had tweeted that I think I'm going to take a step back from trying to go pro. The grilling today from Rotterdam was just too much for me. Rotterdam got so much fucking hate, and he told me at the Scion event that we just went to, he told me that to this day he still gets people sometimes who will say things to him about that event.
You got power, Steven, man. You got people that care a
he definitely,
lot.
man.
They care a lot about how you're treated.
Is
Oh,
amazing.
shit.
That was one of the
Definitely
funniest
amazing.
parts about it too. It's not like on Inside the Games team was like, hey guys, I just want to share my opinion. I've got this. I've thought it all out, and we were like, Steven, you dumb shit. Like fucking Greg, can you get a load of this guy? We're like shoving you around. You came in
like in a
swinging.
in a
You were
triangle.
okay. You yelled at us. You interrupted,
Oh
but it
my
was
gosh.
funny because it was like when we high fived. It was like I felt like I kicked a fetus. Like I kicked. Like Gandhi and Oprah had a baby, and I was able to be there at its conception, its birthing moment, and I punched it in the throat. I punched Gandhi and Oprah's baby in the throat. That's the kind of hate that I got. It was amazing.
Oh man.
I will never high five about Destiny again. I promise the entire internet.
Oh man. I'm tempted to end on that, but I promised somebody I'd ask one more question. Jeez.
Yeah, I can ask if you want.
Serious. Okay, we're gonna have to end on another question because this is too serious to end on. All right, region locking. So, do you think it would be? I mean, it's kind of, I guess, a no-brainer. But do you think it would be beneficial for NA StarCraft 2 scene? And what do you think about the current way it is, where they're allowing even Korean players to live in the U.S. and then play in WCS America? Jeff, I mean, me and Steven talked about it ad nauseum.
Yeah,
so.
it's a step in the right direction. It absolutely is. I think everyone, and I know actually having spoken to a lot of the people at Blizzard as well, that when you look back at BlizzCon, where Naniwa just barely edges into the top 16, and then that like creates an insane amount of excitement for the tournament. But if the tournament's better set up to reward people for playing from their respective regions, then it's just a better system. It just flat out is. Like there should be nobody out there that's like, no, non-Koreans should get no hand-ups, and they need to learn to win or not. Like, we're past that, guys. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're never going to catch up to Korea. Korea is going to be better. So what I don't believe is that you treat Korea like the rest of us. I think the prize pool in Korea should be higher. I think there should be more seeds for Korea because it's the better region. So what I argued for, and I think they're doing something kind of close to this, would be like WCS BlizzCon, potentially, let's say 16 players qualify. I'm okay with 8 of those coming from the Korean region, like 8. And then maybe there's 2 wildcard ones where if they travel to non-Korean tournaments, they can win points from that too. So maybe it's 10 out of 16 is guaranteed to be Korean. As long as those other 6 slots, it's really, like, it's not necessarily locked in, like they check your DNA or some shit like that, but perhaps it's very close to that where it's non-Korean. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that should be the representation.
Okay. Huh. I mean, because WCS America right now is like a melting pot of all kinds of regions, right? I mean, all the slots that are being designated.
Well, if by a melting pot you mean the various different Koreans and then some Chinese that are coming in and
well, that's right. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of regions being represented in America right now, right? With the I guess the spots that are reserved for them.
Right. Here's a really good unfiltered question.
All right.
I'm sorry, are we done with this topic? Or do you wanna go on this one?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, sure.
Fuck, I read it and it popped into my head and now it's killing
Here
me.
we go.
Okay, I have to know the answer to this.
God.
I'm sorry, that was really weird. Okay, fucking the punching Stefano into retirement. True or false? Did you beat Stefano into
What the
retirement?
fuck
I
was
saw
this?
somebody comment on this video on
What
Reddit.
was this?
I watched the video and it looked to me like you guys were just like tired and I didn't get anything out of it. But there were like FBI psychoanalyst profilers and like the thread like drawing up like your entire
I saw
history.
nothing. I saw absolutely nothing there to even like incite that. So I don't even understand it. What's it about, Jeff?
It's so funny. Like, it's so awkward to talk about this because, to be honest with you, sometimes Apollo just says like he was in a trolly mood, so he was just trying to get my goat. Like he was just trying to say something to get me to react. So it's even weird that we're talking about this, that people took it serious enough to even. Like one guy was like, he just shouldn't have brought it up whether it's true or not. It made the whole cast awkward, and I'm like, no, it didn't. Like, not at all. He said something that wasn't funny, so I didn't laugh, and then I said it's not true or something. I can't remember. I was just like, like whatever. Sean.
I think it was just like
you
no
said it
or whatever.
sarcastically too, and then you laughed, and then y'all laughed like not too long after that.
Yeah,
it was really
but what's weird to me is how dumb people can be that they would be like, let's look at this. Let's say it's true. I punched Stefano so he retired. And then we hang out all of the HSC casting together. And who gets punched and retires anyways? Like, I don't live with the guy. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but he gets punched by me and then retires? Like, what is... I punched him into college? No, it's not true. And no, there's nothing there. And it's just not funny. Like, Apollo, it was a dumb joke.
This is one of the reasons why you need drama in the community, because if you don't have any drama for long periods of time, people will manufacture
that was one that was completely manufactured. It was crazy. Like I didn't even understand it.
It's just one thread. It's like 5 guys that are concerned that this is real. But the weird part to me is that those 5 guys are coherent and cognizant enough to then like pay taxes and raise a child and work in society. Like they live in a world, guys, where it's true that someone could get punched and they retire. And go to college. Like, what world? This is not Dragon Ball Z. Like, we don't operate society on that level. Like, yes, I punched him.
It was
and then
just,
we're still friends, and we hang out. And you retire.
You've talked to the people that try to like self-diagnose like mental problems or whatever using like the WebMD or like cancer or whatnot, right? Like, reading the threads was literally like that, like, where they would be like, well, if you notice that, at 42:15, after Apollo makes the joke, you can see that like, EG.iNControL raises his eyes up and to the left, like he's accessing memories from his neocortex, and you can tell that he's a little bit nervous because of the twitch in his face, and so definitely something happened there, and it was like, oh my god, because like I said, I remember I clicked the video to watch it, and after watching for like a little bit, I was like, fuck, did I miss it? And then I had to go back to the thread.
I know,
for, like,
it's like StarCraft 2
analytical
fanfiction,
breakdown.
Man. It's crazy.
Alright, okay, I just wanted to ask that.
Let me just say this. Typically, guys, and this is a weird educational moment for those 5 guys, but when someone gets punched, the person that gets punched doesn't retire. The person that punched the person should actually retire because they'll be fired a lot. So that's how the real world works. On the internet, in Dragon Ball Z anime land, yes, I could see where like I punched him and he de-leveled 5 times and then had to go back to college to learn or something. I don't know.
Right.
Or
it's
maybe,
insane.
actually, what if this was the point where Jeff was actually wondering, I need to know if EG is the right fit for me, and I need to see if I could retire from EG. Now, what would be a good litmus test to see how valuable I am to EG?
Litmus test,
Did I
the punch
beat
test.
the shit out of another player so valuable that they would kick him instead of me? It's time to see how much I... And then after that test, you're like, yep, that's it. I got EG by the balls now. I'm that valuable.
They thought Greg got fired. Truth be told, I uppercutted him. Dragon punch or some shit. I don't know.
One EG member at a time. The test was machine. Because the assault on him was only enough to knock him out of the competitive scene, not knock him off the team entirely.
Oh, man. Okay, all right.
Okay, all right.
You met Bryce. He's like the nice guy in the world.
I know, man. Like, you're beating up on Bryce. He's like...
So you couldn't hit him that hard, right?
Bryce? Knock me out, man. He's a fighter.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, one last question for you, Jeff. I know you're huge Seahawk fans, and for those of you that don't know football, lots of us nerds out there don't know football. I do actually, but there's a lot of fans who don't know football. How would you describe the Seahawks in the form of a player? Like, what player would represent the Seahawks?
Oh, really? Well, the Seahawks are kind of known for their secondary. Their defense is #1 in the NFL. And their secondary has Richard Sherman, who's a big, mouthy, talk shit, but get shit done. He leads the NFL in interceptions kind of guy. So my natural inclination is to say someone like Naniwa or Idra, but that's not right either because, while Naniwa is certainly top 2 non-Korean, so that's kind of where the comparison would be made to Richard Sherman. Naniwa's like, he's like awkward mean. He'll be like, I don't like you and I think you're there in an interview, and you're like, oh, that sucks. That's also kind of true, so it hurts my feelings. Whereas Richard Sherman is like is like a backyard basketball, like, "Whoo, I'm crazy, you're a dumbass." Like he just like kind of yells at him the whole time. So I think for players, I guess someone like Hyun would be kind of a good example, and I think a lot of the community wouldn't get this because Hyun on camera at tournaments is he's like kind of a goofy Korean that's funny and good. But Hyun at events, if you get the chance to ever see this guy in action, he wears pajama pants. He's crazy. He runs around making jokes. He's like a really goofy guy, while being one of the absolute best Zergs on the planet. So I think Richard Sherman and Hyun are the two that I would compare as far as players. I don't know if I could do all of the players in one. Marshawn is also like Richard Sherman.
All right. Good enough. All right, let's wrap the show. Good stuff, man. I think the second half was quite entertaining and was very, very, very much an enjoying experience for hopefully all you guys that are watching. But why don't we do some shout outs? And I think we did them last time, but let's just do them again. Any other additional shout outs you didn't have yesterday? Jeff?
Just again, thank you, ChanManV, for having me on. It's I watch you guys show all the time, especially when you guys hit the British red button and you bring in all the drama. There's no other show that comes close to the hilarious fucking. You know what? And add me to that button the next time that shit happens.
All right, okay, man. All right, I'll hold you to this, man.
I made my peace with Richard Lewis, so we can make fun of each other without it being awkward. It'll be good. But yeah, just a big thank you to you. Good job on all the shows. Love it. Appreciate it. Also, it's kind of cool because I feel proud because I was close to the beginning of when you were doing all this shit, when you were starting to bring people on and just do stuff of yourself, and to see you now with thousands of viewers and love on Reddit and stuff like that is really cool. So congrats and awesome.
No, I appreciate it. No,
me personally,
go ahead.
What's that?
No, I was just gonna say Jeff was one of my first coaches that when we started Pro Corner. And I was taking coaching for you, even leading into Pro Corner. So, yeah, that's very true.
Go way back. Yep. Go way back. For me personally, I'm going to be in Oregon and Washington until January 1, and then I'm going to hit the ground running January and just get back to my usual stuff. So that's what people can expect. But we do have State of the Game on Sunday, so if you want to tune into some fools getting drunk and be in the Old Boys Club and eSports Illuminati and all that stuff, you can tune into that. No other shows are planned at this moment in time. And then for me personally, I do have a shirt out on Designed by Humans. That's the website. It's the Ashes to Ashes shirt. That is my subscription button. That's how. So if you're wondering, like, hey, I like that guy. He does good stuff. I want to support him. That's the way you do it.
Link it in the chat.
I don't have the link actually.
Oh shit! I've seen pictures of it. It looks pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool shirt.
Yeah.
But just to be transparent with you guys, 50% of that goes to me. So every purchase, 50%. Goes to my ability to earn money and spend it on fun stuff and secure a future for myself. So kind of the same thing. Steve and I had this really good conversation yesterday about what it means to ask for donations and stuff like that. Do not purchase that shirt if it's like that versus feeding your 2-year-old child. But if you have disposable income and you're like, Jeff does pretty cool stuff for my gaming life and I want to support him, then please do that because it's a really cool way to do that. But don't do it if it means you don't eat.
If you're the Prince of Dubai, just go ahead and write.
Oh yeah, buy 20,000 of those. Jesus. Exactly. Where's that guy for the StarCraft 2 community?
Absolutely. Steven.
Same as yesterday. Destiny.gg/shave/ting. Then check out Phoenix. All that shit. I did my shoutouts. What the fuck, man?
What the fuck?
What the fuck? All right.
What the fuck? Thanks to ChanManV and Jeff for being here.
Yeah.
All right.
And shout out to ChanManV's family. I hope all of your shit goes well.
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's good and fine. Yeah, definitely. Definitely over the holidays. But I want to wish you guys.
I have a very special fan in my chat that's been supportive of me through the thick and thin. I would like to give a shout out to Criminal Cutie for all of the great work
I asked this question today, man.
Yeah, I know. He's done a great job in keeping the chat civil and all that stuff. So, all right, go ahead.
Cool. I want to thank Jeff and Steven for coming and doing the show. This was a lot of fun. After yesterday was a little bit crazy, just with the whole fiasco. So this was really nice and relaxing, kind of way to end the episode. And I want to thank you guys, the viewers, for coming and tuning in this late. This is really, really late, and I know some of the Europeans too stayed up to watch this. So
yeah,
big shout out to you guys for doing that. And then lastly, wish you guys a happy holidays because I don't think we'll be doing Unfiltered next week, given that it's Christmas Eve. So, you know, Steve and I have families, so we're gonna have to celebrate Christmas. Probably, I'm not for sure if there's not gonna be a Value Tournament next week, but probably take the week off. I haven't had a week off in like 2 years, so I've been a freaking robot.
You can take one,
but I think I might take this next week off, guys, just to chill a little bit.
Asshole.
And some shout outs. Value Town tomorrow. It's a Hearthstone show I do with Crip and Trump, if you like Hearthstone. And then Friday, Blizzard is doing an arcade marathon from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be doing Wednesday night sprites on a Friday during the day. So it's going to be 1 to 3.
Wednesday night sprites.
Yeah,
Wednesday night sprites on Friday during the day.
Yes. But lots of people are going to be doing it. Everybody's going to be playing arcade, streaming under the same event. Wheat's going to be doing it. Chef, Tempo, just all the Wednesday night sprites crew, Smix. I think Nathaniel is going to do it. So as many of you guys that love the arcade, come and hang out, because I'm trying to get everybody to play on the same day so we can, you know, get something maybe going in the arcades instead of everybody just spread out playing their own little thing. But yeah, check it out on Fridays. But that's going to be it. YouTube, the VODs are going to be on YouTube, youtube.com/ChanManV. Follow us on Twitter, @ChanManV, @Steven_Bennell, and @EG.iNControL. And follow this Twitch channel if you enjoy the show or like my late night Hearthstone streams or anything like that by clicking the follow button. I'd really appreciate that. But until next time, guys, in 2 weeks, we'll be back, Unfiltered. So for EG.iNControL, Destiny, ChanManV, we'll see you next time.
Peace, everybody.
Later.
Good show, man. And I think